Hi everyone, this is Nita from the Mercer County Library System, welcoming you to this week's edition of Literary Destinations, where the author in focus is American writer, editor, and literary critic Edgar Allan Poe. I'm going to share my screen with you. Give me a moment. One more second. Edgar Allan Poe's literary accomplishments cover the genres of poetry, short stories, detective stories, and science fiction, and he's often referred to as the master of the macabre. Poe's notable verses include To Helen and the Raven, which made him world famous upon his publication in 1845. Edgar Allan Poe brought a psychological depth to all of his stories that transformed the genre of the horror story. Some of the most notable stories include The Fall of the House of Usher, The Telltale Heart, The Pit and the Pendulum, and The Mask of the Red Death. With Halloween right around the corner, now might be the perfect time to pick up one of Poe's spine-chilling works from the Mercer County Library, where a treasure trove of this talented author's works is available for you to check out. Today, we will be traveling to different places where Edgar Allan Poe lived and worked during his lifetime. His parents were both actors, and Poe was born in Boston in 1809, while they were traveling there. They then moved to Richmond, Virginia, where very soon tragedy struck. The young Poe lost both his parents by the time he was 4 years old, and his care was entrusted to a wealthy tobacco businessman from Richmond, John Allen, and his wife. All of Allen's homes where Poe grew up do not exist anymore. Here is a photograph of Moldavia, his last home in Richmond. It was a large home with a double portico. John Allen wanted Edgar to join his tobacco business, but Poe had no interest in doing so. From a young age, he had a passion and love for writing poetry, influenced by the great poet Lord Byron. The Edgar Allan Poe Museum in Richmond commemorates the time Poe spent living and working in Richmond. The museum consists of 3 buildings that document and portray different aspects of Poe's legacy. The old stone house has a parlor displaying furniture from the homes in which Edgar Poe lived. Of special interest in this room is a piano that once belonged to Poe's sister and Edgar's childhood bed. The Elizabeth Arnold Poe Memorial Building includes many manuscripts and the first and early edition of Poe's works, including an 1845 publication of The Raven. The collection in the North Building is related to exploring Poe's mysterious death and includes Poe's trunk, walking stick, and a lock of his hair. The Enchanted Garden at the Poe Museum is inspired by the author's poem, To One in Paradise. Poe was very fond of cats, and his beloved tortoise cat, Katerina, is said to have sat on Poe's shoulder to watch him write. To honor his love for cats, the Poe Museum has adopted Edgar and Pluto, 2 black cats who were found as kittens in the Enchanted Garden in 2012. Philadelphia was another city where Edgar Allan Poe spent most of his creative years. He lived in this brick house with his wife, Virginia, and his mother-in-law, Maria Clem. It now houses the Edgar Allan Poe Historical Site. Inside the 3-story house is the front parlor, the reading room, Poe's bedroom, and the basement. This closely resembles the basement featured in Poe's The Black Cat. Our next stop is the Edgar Allan Poe House and Museum in Baltimore, a city that defined the beginning and the end of his life. He came to Baltimore after a fallout with his foster father and transitioned from being a poet to a career as a writer. He also met his future wife, Virginia, in Baltimore. Poe returned to Richmond in August of 1835. He traveled back often on business and to visit family and friends in Baltimore. It was during his last trip to Baltimore in 1849 that he died under mysterious circumstances at the age of just 40. Baltimore became his final resting place. Till next time, this is Nita signing off from the West Windsor branch of the Mercer County Library System.